I'm dying to hear Stephen A's take on the crime spike happening across the nation. Let's jump right in.
We're going to make you president. What is the Stephen A. Smith platform to solve the crime and homelessness crisis?
Well, there is no question that a lot of these issues need to be addressed. There is no question that we should be against an extremely progressive agenda that's calling for people to be released from prison on multiple occasions, that's ignoring a lot of crime that's taking place in the streets. There is no doubt about that.
Okay, I can jive with that. That makes sense. Now, coming from Stephen A., who's known to be very liberal, especially in regard to social issues, but he seems to be a lot more sensible in this area when it comes to crime, seeing how it has hit his own city, New York.
Where I don't vibe with you, Jesse Waters, who I respect, is that when you talk about politicians themselves being innocent, they're not innocent in all of this. A matter of fact, in some instances, the division that exists and has existed for so long has contributed to kind of some of the nonsense that's been taking place in the streets. It doesn't excuse it, doesn't mean it doesn't have to be addressed.
Where do we disagree? I feel like we're in agreement on everything.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, you said earlier in your great monologue how the politicians themselves were like innocent for crying.
No, I'm not.
Now, my question is, just for clarification, is Stephen A. saying that the politicians are largely to blame for everything that's going on when it comes to the crime spike across the country, especially those politicians who have promoted this idea of defunding the police, abolishing the police? For the last 10 years at minimum, you've seen this steady increase in rhetoric, anti-police rhetoric, that has definitely played a hand in the crime increase we have going on across the country.
I didn't say that. I said they're acting like they're the victims when you call them out for not doing their job.
Well, some of them. Well, actually, a lot of them deserve the criticism that they're getting. There is no doubt about that. But I would definitely be big time when it comes to addressing crime in the streets.
Okay, good.
The subway system in New York City, you're damn right I got a problem with that. Something needs to be. I'm a native of New York City.
Yeah.
I took the F and the E train all the time. I wouldn't want my family traveling on the subway right now.
Same with me, not
what
anymore.
I'm saying.
Like I said, it's good to hear some liberals who are at the very least have enough common sense to realize that there's an issue going on here when it comes to crime. Even the mayor of New York, Mayor Adams, at the least, he seems to be very pro-cop, and he understands the reality of what's happening in a lot of these cities. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't see the link. They don't see the tie-in. The politicians who are promoting these agendas, and the fact that that many of these people, Stephen A. included, are the ones who are putting these individuals in power, who are creating these new laws and pushing these policies that are destructive and that are ultimately causing more lives.
The subway anymore? I feel like you don't.
Well, I don't.
I
don't. But that's only because when you get popular and stuff like that, you try to avoid crowds.
You're too popular to take the subway.
I was in L.A. The homelessness that exists there, I got an issue with that. Certainly, when you look at Gavin Newsom and some of the policies that he's put forth, you're talking about a lot of different things that need to be addressed. I don't agree with everything, and I'm not about to pretend that I do.
Okay.
Now, the final question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to try to get these people to wake up, Stephen A., and other people out there who might be listening to this who happen to lean more left, who are liberal, who are Democrats? What are you going to do, especially those who live in those cities? Or if you actually care about the people who live in those cities, are you going to encourage them to switch up their vote? Or are you going to continue down the path of voting for people based on a false concept of, especially for us Black folks, race is the primary motivator, because we have often been led to believe that anybody who's on the right, any Republican, is racist, without actually listening to most of the arguments. That's what I used to believe. And the question is, ultimately, what are you going to do when you see your city is going to crap? What's going to happen? I'd love to know. Before you go, make sure you check out this video along the same lines. I think you'll appreciate it.